Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. Now I'm Marilyn and I do all things crafty, but on today's video, I'm going to show you how I made this bling shirt. Now the camera doesn't even do this justice, but isn't that pretty? Now I'm going to show you pretty much how I did this from start to finish. I'll show you how I designed it. I cut my flock, I put the rhinestones in the template, and I pressed them to the shirt. And then one thing in here that I learned is so important. It's such a game changer. So if you're interested in seeing how I made this, keep watching the video. Now I'm in Silhouette Studio Business Edition, and the reason I'm using this edition is I have the rhinestone panel or the rhinestone tool. I can make rhinestone designs, and then with Business Edition you can then save those as an SVG. So for me that's important because I don't cut with a Silhouette, I cut with a Cricut. So I need to be able to make my rhinestone designs here, save them as SVGs, and open them back up in Cricut. Now my design is going to be a big G, and then in vinyl going across it will be the word Trojans. So I'll do my capital G, now I click off it and back on it, then I can drag it to the size I want. Now this is a mystery to me. It says my design is 9.9 inches tall, but clearly the actual G is only, 5.5 inches tall. So for those experienced Silhouette Studio users out there, please tell me how I can fix that. I don't quite understand that, but I've learned a workaround. So I just make it the size I want it, and instead of relying on this, I count the squares. And with each square being an inch, I want to make this larger. I'm shooting for about 8 inches tall. All right, just a tiny bit larger and I think I'll be good. All right, then I'm shooting for about 7 inches wide, maybe 7.5. So I'll drag this in some, and I actually think that's a pretty good G. So let me go to the color palette, and I'm just going to pick a color. It really doesn't matter. I'll pick a gray. All right, so I like to make a copy of what I'm working on in case I mess it up. So I'm going to do Command C for copy, Command V for paste, and I'll put it right over here. Now, before I can make my rhinestone template, I need to put the word Trojans in there. Let's go with Bastion. Then I just need to get it the size I want. I think that's a little bit larger than I want. I'm going to go ahead and turn that a color so I can see it better. Okay, that looks pretty good. So let me go in here. This is going to be vinyl, so I want to go ahead and weld those letters together. So I'm going to go up to the panels, modify, and weld. Okay, so this is going to be cut out of the G before I make my rhinestone template. But if I cut this exact size out of the G, my vinyl and my rhinestones are going to overlap a little bit. So what I need to do is make an offset. And look at that, the T wasn't touching, so it's not included. I'm going to go ahead and say Object and Group. I could weld them or group them. They're not touching, so I don't necessarily have to weld them. Now, just like before, I'm going to make a copy of that and move it out of the way. So now I want to do an offset of the word Trojans. So I selected Trojans, and then right here, this star, that's the offset panel. And I'll say offset, and then you can see the red, that's the size of the offset. So I can make it smaller. I can make it larger. And let me just eyeball this. I really think that looks pretty good right there. So now I'll go up to the color panel. Let's just do that a dark color. Okay, so what I want to do is get this maroon off. Then I want to select the G and the word Trojans. I'm going to go back up to panels, modify, and subtract. So then when I put this back in there, I have plenty of room. Oh, it cut it all apart. So let me go ahead and select everything. And you know what? I don't want this little thing down here. I'm going to delete that. There's something there. Let's delete that. So now I'm going to select everything, and I'll just go up and I'll group those together. Okay, so now's the fun time. We're going to make this into a rhinestone template. So I'm going to open my rhinestone panel. Right now it's defaulted on no effect. If I click on no effect, you see nothing happens. If I click on this one, this is just going to put it all around the edges of the G. Now it's going to go in here too. I'll click on that and you can see what that would look like. If I click on the linear fill, then my rhinestones are very straight from side to side. Now that's super nice inside there, but I don't really like the curves. So let's try the radial fill. Okay, so that one, other than these big gaps, is the most pleasant to me. So now we're going to start playing with the spacing. We're going to get our rhinestones closer together. I'm going to decrease the spacing and see if that helps. So I'll just put 0.03 instead of 0.039. I'll hit enter. And they did fill in a lot. Let's keep going. Let's try 0.025. Well, let's just keep going with 0.02. I don't know that I've ever done one with 0.015. I don't want to start cutting into each other. Let's go back to the 0.025. And I'm going to drag my Trojans back in here so we can see what it looks like. That looks good. Now, I want to start hand fixing all these little gaps. And I'm going to show you basically how I do it. I'm not going to make you watch through me fixing this whole thing, but here's what I do. First of all, I'm going to blow it up. And then if I click on the design, I click on Release Rhinestones. Now, it took a minute for the silhouette to process all that and get each one of these as an individual stone. But you see the blue lines around them? Each one is an individual stone or an individual item in the design. So I am literally going to just start dragging them to where I think they're filled in nicely. Let's just make a little space here. And you might think, well, now your little rows get off a little bit. No one's going to notice. So I'm going to hit Command C for copy, Command V for paste. It's right here. And then we're just going to see if we can't fit this in here somehow. All right, I have plenty of space on this one. Move it over a little bit. Move him over a little bit. If you click on one and hit the right arrow key, the left arrow key, the down or the up arrow key, it makes small movements. Okay, so now that looks a little better to me. None of the circles are touching, so it should cut fine. I'm going to move these over a little to the left, make some space. Again, Command C, Command V, and drag this up into place. Now I do need to make a little more space for it. And I'm almost done. Let's move this up and over one. Then we can move this guy up and over a little bit. And he fits. So you might stretch them out to make it work. Like I could start stretching these down some. That's a way you can do it. So you're either going to stretch them together or you're going to space them out and make room for a full rhinestone. Now I don't like this gap here. Now here's what I do sometimes. If I don't get them spaced to where I think they're just perfect, I'll leave a little gap and then I'll hand place a smaller rhinestone. So these are all SS10s. I'll put one SS6 rhinestone right there to fix that. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there, and I probably will hand place one small rhinestone right there. But for now, I'll keep fixing the rest of this. So you can see if you're doing a design that you're only going to use once, it can be pretty tedious. It can take a long time. But if you don't mind minutia, it's actually kind of fun. Now I'll go ahead and save that to my desktop. Before I do, I want to take this out, and then I'm just going to group all these together. Now we can see 1,186 rhinestones is what it'll take. So I'll go to Object and Group. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save this to my desktop as an SVG, so then I can cut it on my Cricut. Now for my design, I went ahead and removed the backing from the flock and then attached the flock directly onto my cutting mat. Okay, so it's the moment of truth. Let's see how well these dots come out. Now I did put tape on the edges, or each of the corners, so I'll go ahead and remove that. Then you can see I had a couple of dots left out, and there's one of them. I don't know where the other one is. And then before I pull this up, I'm going to go ahead and bray this down, or use my brayer on it, because I want those dots to be solidly adhered to my mat. Let's see how it did. Then, just like vinyl, I'm going to pull it kind of straight back. Ooh, that doesn't look so good. Oh, that does not look good at all. Why does this happen to me? All right, so somebody on the live talked about this trick. And that's to use a pet lint roller. Now, because I'm using a pet lint roller to lift the dots out, I put the backing that came off the back of this down because this is pretty smooth. It's almost like a wax paper. So I don't want the dots to stick to it. I want the dots to come out with my lint roller. So let's check this out. Oh my goodness, look at that. That is wonderful. Okay, it's pulling it off the backing because, again, this backing isn't really sticky. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get a fresh one. That is awesome. Oh my word. So much better than what I have been fighting with. All right, I'm going to see if I can get them all out with this. Oh, don't let it get stuck to your mat. It does not want to come off that mat. That's kind of fun. Wow, look at that. That's great. So, some people have super luck with cutting their flock. For some reason, I do not. So this is a game changer for me. I can only see 3 little circles still in there. I have never had it that good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fill this template. And then I do still have to cut my Trojans. but I'll do that off camera. Now it's time to put the rhinestones in this, and I tend to put way too many on my design. But you know what? I'm going to pick them up anyway. Not a big deal. So you just dump them on, start going in circles. So this brush is for trim paint. And I either got it in the paint section at Walmart or Home Depot. Can't remember which, but you can find them there. You can find them on Amazon. They are really inexpensive and they do a great job. See, I have way too many rhinestones. That's okay. It's not a big deal. We don't sweat the small stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and start wiping the rhinestones to the side. And I'm going to go in the same direction, so I kind of have them pooled together over there. And I'm not putting a lot of weight down. Really just the weight of the brush. I really went overboard with the number of rhinestones that I dumped out. Okay, so now I'm just going to come downward, just so that I'm coming from a different angle, and maybe I'll clean the rest off. Now you can see there's some holes in there, and we're going to deal with those in just a minute. So the next step in this process is remove any excess rhinestones on your flock, and then fill in the holes that don't have any in them. So what I like to do is just look for excess ones. Here's one right here, and just move it to an empty hole. Now I see a rhinestone here that just doesn't look right, like maybe it has a defect. And it sure does. This rhinestone has none of the glue on the bottom. Huh. You do get some defective rhinestones, and these are nice rhinestones. I got these from Be Createful. But you're going to run across a few that are a little bit cloudy. That's the first one I've ever seen that didn't have the glue on the back, though. Okay, am I missing any? Do I have any extra stones there? I think I'm really good, actually. So I'm going to move these excess rhinestones away. And now this next part is the most nerve-wracking part for me, and that's putting the transfer tape down on these. Because when you do that, something about that transfer tape wants to suction these up to it. I don't know if it's static cling or what it is, but if you mess it up, it's kind of a big pain. But I guess if that's the worst thing that happens to me today, I have a charmed life. Okay, this is a piece I've used before, and I'm not going to be able to reuse that. You can reuse these, but this isn't the right dimensions. It's not the right size, so I'll probably start with a new piece. Okay, I'm nervous because this is the biggest piece that I have. I need to order more of this, and it's not very wide. It is barely wider than my G. So I'm going to have to be really careful. So send me some positive vibes here. So you just remove the backing from your transfer paper or your transfer tape. Now this is a special transfer tape. You can't just use your regular transfer tape. You have to have something that withstands heat. Now when you do this, you just have to commit and you have to go for it. So I'm going to kind of fold it up like a taco and lay it down. Oh, I think I have success. So what I like to do is just kind of push straight down. And then once in a while you'll have a rhinestone that lifted and it's not quite in the right place. If you do, like maybe here, just use your thumbnail, shove it over, push it down in the hole so you know it's in the right place. And typically you're okay. Now I want to apply some good pressure because you want the sticky side of this, the side that's against the rhinestones, you want it to make good connection. Now I'm going to slowly peel this up so that I can see if the rhinestones come up. Because if some rhinestones don't come up, you put your paper back down, you rub on it, and you try it again. Now here's the shirt that I'm going to use, and this is a sweatshirt that I got from Circle Clothing. I've already used a lint roller to clean the debris off. Now this is a Caesar Easy Weed. It says 10 to 15 seconds at 305. Now this is a hot press, so I can go ahead and pull the backing sheet off. So I'm just going to lay this down. And then adjust it as necessary. Now take your time on this step because you do not get a redo on this. Now notice there's a little bit of vinyl exposed. Maybe a little bit there, but there definitely is here. Now I'm a little worried that the carrier sheet of this is going to push down into that vinyl. Maybe if I put this little Teflon sheet between the vinyl and the carrier sheet, maybe that'll protect it. We'll see. Now I see one rhinestone shifted, so I don't want to press it yet. Now you don't necessarily need a Teflon sheet, but I'm going to add one. Now these rhinestones, the instructions say to wait till this is cool. And the reason it says that is because, uh-oh, I see one shifted. Alright, well I'm going to have to try to fix that with my little hot fix tool. But the reason they say not to peel it until it's cool is because that glue on the back is still kind of sticky. So with it still being sticky, when you pull this sheet off, I think the fear is you might pull some of those rhinestones up. But I see people pull this up all the time when it's still hot. Okay, I think that's good. Let me go ahead and peel this off. And we do have that one rhinestone that's in the wrong place, so we're going to see if we can fix that. Now here's my problem rhinestone right here. So I'm going to go ahead and heat that up. I'll leave this on here about 15 seconds. And then let me see if I can go ahead and move that off while the glue is still sticky. Oh good, it came off. That is great. And then I'm going to go ahead and get a new stone, throw that one away. I can see just a little bit of glue remnant there, but that is not going to show up. Okay, now I'm not even sure which one it was. I think it was that one. Is that it? Hopefully that's it. I'll press this for 10 or 15 seconds. Then I'm going to take the whole shirt back over to the heat press and do one more press. Okay, none of them are moving, so I must have had the right stone. So I'm going to take this over to the heat press, put a Teflon sheet over the whole thing, and press it just about 10 more seconds. Now here's my final shirt. If you go back in the video just, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 seconds, you're going to notice that a few of these were missing right in here. I think what happened was I got so excited thinking that my flock was perfect from using this, then I missed a few holes that were still in there. That's the only thing I can think of. but I know when I go back and watch the video, I'll figure it out. So then I used my hot fix tool. I added them in for a few seconds. Then I put my Teflon sheet over the whole design and I pressed it all together. I think that's beautiful. I hope my friend likes it too. Thank you so much for joining me today and sticking it out all the way till the end. And until my next video, bye-bye.